to Beer Thursday. We are here excited to talk to you this here week. Yet another beautiful day, Beer Thursday day. This is Friday Junior, as some people like to say, but it is certainly a great day to be alive. And it's a great day to talk about, speaking of life is kind of funny, don't you think, Shane?
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. And what's hilarious to me is I think there's some crazy ass creatures out there amongst us that some of them sound too fake to be real, but some of them actually are quite real. And I think we have God to thank for this. I think God had to have had a pretty good sense of humor. And with that in mind, today's round is a little round we like to call the Platypus and Other Weird Animals, Proof That God Has a Sense of Humor.
Hmm?
That's probably not the title. In fact, I was thinking of something else.
Where did that title come from? Where did you get that title?
I made that up in my head brain one time.
Okay.
When I was thinking about it.
Okay.
So yeah, so there's a lot of weird hybrid animals out there. One of which, the one that got me started thinking about this was the platypus. You know, the combination of a plat and a plus, which is odd.
Wait, is it a hybrid animal, the platypus? I guess it is.
I think it is. Is it?
Okay, its name, it looks like it is.
It's
but
got
it
a
doesn't
duck
have
bill.
the hybrid name.
Yeah. It's got a duck bill though, but it's not a platypus. It doesn't have it is a platypus, but it doesn't have it doesn't have the hybrid name. The rest of these do have hybrid names. So.
Yeah. And they're venomous. Platypi are venomous. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Really?
Yes.
They look so harmful and
they're adorable.
Funny.
It's like a beaver with a duck bill. Hey. So I was just wondering, like, other animals see it and they just see the duck at first, and then they see the rest and they go, hey, nice beaver.
I knew that was coming. Thanks. I just had it stuffed. So I pulled up a list, and you've got the list up too. And I just want to mention one right off the bat that I thought was not real, because if you've seen the movie Napoleon Dynamite, he talks about the famous mythical creature, the liger.
The liger.
Which is actually not a mystical creature. It's a real creature. And it's an offspring of a male lion and a tigress, or female tiger. Hence the word liger.
Liger.
Yeah.
Now, does it have to be a male? Could it be a male, female? I mean, a male tiger and a female lion? Or would that be a tie-in? Is the name based on which is the male, or is that the only way they can breed the male lion?
That is a good question. I am going to consult my.
Tell us, science.
Yeah, actually, yes. The parents of the liger, there is such a thing as a tigon.
Huh.
And a tigon is a male tiger and a female lion.
Okay.
So yes, tigons do exist.
Now,
and
different animal species, I guess, have different numbers of chromosomes. And for these animals to create a hybrid, they have to have the same number of chromosomes
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're just fucking for fun. They're not procreating. They're just having a good time.
They're
right?
just they're no different. They're no different from
So lions and tigers must have the same number of chromosomes.
Yeah.
Now, some of these names are funny.
Are they?
Yes, like the beefalo. You know what?
It sounds like a delightful burger.
I want to try that burger. I want a beefalo burger. American bison, usually a female, bred with a male cattle, a male cow. Or I guess a cow is the female, but yeah, beefalo. I think that's my favorite out of the names.
Yeah, and it's
I mean, I would go if there was a restaurant in this country that had the beefalo burger, but it can't be, they can't get they can't buy a pound of ground buffalo and a ground of beef and mix that together. It has to be from one animal. Yes. I will go to that restaurant to have a beefalo burger.
Absolutely. It has to be that. I think
Dave's hot beefalo.
And I think that bears the question, and I mean this in all sincerity. Can you eat them?
That's what everybody wants to know.
Yeah. Oh wait, yeah.
Now, what if can you triple breed and then you could breed the beefalo with like some type of bird and then have some beefalo wings? Is that a possibility? Is that on the table? The proverbial table, not the literal table?
I think it's on the proverbial table. I think
but also a literal table. Is that on the perverted table?
It could be the perverted table. But
you don't know shit about shit.
I will tell you this though. I'm reading here that the United States Department of Agriculture's study found that beefalo meat, like bison meat, is lower in fat and cholesterol than standard beef cattle. So apparently you can eat a beefalo. I just don't know where you can find a beefalo.
Why aren't we doing this? Come on, John Dutton, get it together.
Exactly. You know what else sounds delightful?
Beefalo?
A catalo.
A catalo. What's a catalo, Jay?
It's a cross between cattle and buffalo.
Cattle and buffalo.
I was really nervous there for a second. I thought it had something to do with a cat.
And cantaloupe?
Yeah, cantaloupe.
What a cantaloupe. I'm going to breed a cat with a cantaloupe. I have a cantaloupe.
Yes, you can. No, you cantaloupe.
Do you think cats and cantaloupe have the same number of chromosomes?
Here's a question. If a cantaloupe and a cat were to run off and get married, would they be cantaloping? Cantaloping?
I think this interesting one here is they bred an elephant with a rhino. And do you know what they call that?
I don't.
Elephino.
Damn it. I fell right into your trap. Right into your trap.
So far, I would like to say that cantaloupe and elephino are not actual hybrid animals on the list. Yes. They were Jay's and my attempt at making each other, if not you, laugh.
You know, speaking of that though, the elephino, that is my favorite letter of the alphabet.
It's right before P, right?
Right. It's right before P. Yes, P. I think it's time for a toast. I guess I'll just throw one out there if you don't mind.
All right. Throw it out there. All right.
Okay. Here is to all of God's creatures, no matter how weird and fucked up they may be. And I'm talking about us. Cheers.
Cheers. Some of the names just sound cool. Some of them sound like, all right, you know what? You should have spent a little more time coming up with the names. But one I like is the Zonkey.
A zebra and a donkey?
Zebra and a donkey.
No way. That's interesting.
Yeah. And I guess that's the pattern here. A male zebra and a female donkey. I guess if you had a male donkey and a female zebra, it would be a Debra. But for marketing purposes, they went with the Zonkey.
I don't know if you've heard of this one. This is interesting. A cross between a zebra and any other equine is referred to as a zebroid. To me, that's offensive.
Any other, right. So what if you made it a donkey with a monkey? Well, how would you come up with a name for that? A madonkey or a demonkey?
Would it be a donkey?
Yeah. I guess that's why they don't have the same number of chromosomes, because God knew we'd have trouble with coming up with a name.
Now, here's one I didn't even know was a thing. It's a hybrid between a whale and a dolphin.
This one is fascinating.
Known as a wolfen.
I'm interested in.
And when I saw wolfen, I thought it was a hybrid between a wolf and a dolphin, but thankfully that is not the case, because wouldn't it drown? I don't know. Would it? I don't know. Somebody ask. Somebody. Anybody know the answer to that question?
Tell us these questions that we can have an answer.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
And on a side note, speaking of weird ass animals, here's one that I think bears discussion.
Haha.
I read a question. I saw some of were unicorn real?
Okay.
And the answer to that question is yes, they were real
Really? But
from
they
a
didn't make it
certain
on the
point of view.
ark.
From a certain point of view. So scientists found fossilized skull of an ancient animal called a Elasmotherium sibericum, and it might be the
What
closest
about the
thing.
Mothra?
I don't know. They said it might be the closest thing to a real unicorn that ever existed. And this animal lived around 30,000 years ago. It looked more like a giant furry rhinoceros than the graceful horse-like unicorns we imagine today. It had a single large horn on its forehead. So that's where the similarities of the unicorn myth, that's where it kind of ends. The creature was enormous, twice the size, twice as heavy as a giraffe. It likely roamed the grasslands of Siberia, using its horn for defense and for digging food. While it wasn't the magical unicorn of legend, it's fascinating to think that a real animal with one horn did walk the earth long ago.
That is fascinating. But
Yeah.
and it was equine. It wasn't like a
Supposedly,
triceratops that was
you
missing
know,
its head horns.
it doesn't really say here in this article, but the fact that I think maybe it's because it was giant and furry, you know, so
Yeah, I guess if it's furry.
it has to be somewhat of some
Yeah.
relation to like a bovine or an evine or a
Hollywood and Vine.
Hollywood and vine. Yeah, one of the vines. Heard it through the grapevines. What else? Do you have one? Do you have another one, sir?
Okay, one of these is the Narluga,
Mm-hmm.
which it's a hybrid of a narwhal, which is a whale,
Okay.
and a beluga, which is a whale. Does that really count if it's just two different types of whales?
To me, I don't think it would. I mean, it doesn't seem like it should. I mean, what do I know? I just
You're
live
not a
here.
doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
Who even knows about? You have to be a doctor of chromosomatology to know this. Now, I will say this about the Narluga.
Yeah.
Not that
Naruga.
cute. Narluga. Some of their pictures are very cute.
Yeah.
One of them, and I don't know, it almost looks like it's an AI generated, but it looks like a whale with a hippopotamus body is what this
Okay.
Narluga looks like. Kind of cute, but then there's other pictures of the Narluga that not as cute.
Not so
Sorry,
much.
Narluga. No offense to the Narluga.
So here's another one that I find interesting. It's a hybrid between a goat and a sheep. And it's called a geep or jeep.
Wasn't there a Popeye character called like Jeep or Cheap or something like that?
I don't know. There might have been.
Okay, you tell us about the geep or the Jeep, and I'm gonna look up
It's
Popeye characters.
So apparently it's also it's a little ball of cuteness. It's a geep, otherwise known as a show.
So I guess a goat and a sheep, or sheep and a
Yeah.
goat.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. Okay. Now goats famous for their milk,
Mhm.
famous for their cheese from said milk, I suppose. Sheep known for their wool. And then the food. I love lamb chops. Love a leg of lamb. I wonder how is it wrong that we're thinking about these animals in terms of food? So I wonder with a Jeep, do you get the milk, the chops, and the sweater?
I think so.
Are we
I think it's really truly using all of the animal to satisfy your hunger
I feel
and
kind of
your need for comfort.
I feel kind of bad thinking about these animals in terms of how we can use them,
Yeah.
but Yeah.
Hey, man.
Okay. Yes. In Popeye, there was a character called Eugene the Jeep, but it was Jeep with a J. Mysterious animal with magical or supernatural abilities. The Jeep first appeared in Thimble Theater comic strip. He was also in the animated version of Popeyes. Okay, this isn't Popeye talk. I'm just a fan.
So here's one that, because you mentioned earlier about I believe it was the cross between the two types of whales.
Yeah, the narwhal and the beluga.
Yeah.
Baby beluga.
There's another one that I found interesting, and it is a cross between a polar bear and a grizzly bear, known as a growler bear.
No, that reminds me of the ticket where they would use GR at the beginning of words that they didn't want to say, like gruck or such a gritch. The growler bear, like what?
Growler bear. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Okay, so and it says they're cute.
Growler bears?
Yeah, the description I'm reading here, these cute, fluffy creatures resemble large stuffed animals.
And considering they're two of the most fearsome mammals, they're cute until they rip your fucking face off.
Yeah. Polar bears.
Then not so much.
Deceiving in that regard because they're adorable.
Oh, they're adorable. Yeah,
but
for
they
sure.
will maul you savagely and viciously.
I mean, I'm just gonna say it. A polar bear will hurt a motherfucker for sure.
Okay.
It'll kill you.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean, there's no coke.
assuming...
There's no smile. I mean, there might be some coke, you know. That might need a little bump. Just kidding. We don't do that.
Ooh, okay.
So,
all right.
Okay, so growler bear, I guess that's a male grizzly and a female polar bear. Is there also a pizzly that's with a male polar and a female grizzly?
That I don't know the answer to, so I'm going to pass.
You know what? We're going to pass the rest off to a second round because we haven't been going down the list. I don't know if we're halfway done or not, but
I'm done.
We've gone long enough. Okay, all right, Jay's not done. Jay's got a lot of. He has to make up some. There's also one that in our second part of this, I'll tell about one that I don't remember if I dreamed it or if I actually saw it when I was a kid, but a hybrid that I have a memory of seeing on the news. I just don't know if the memory is real.
I guess maybe people can come back next week to find out if your memory is real.
If you're a Patreon, you can find out Monday. If you're not a Patreon, you're probably going to find out in about 6 or 7 months because that's the way the cookie's going to crumble. That's the way the ball's going to bounce.
Wow.
Because you know what? We're just strong arming you here into becoming a Patreon, which you can do for as little as $5 a month. And you know what? If you can't be a Patreon, the best thing you can do, share Beer Thursday with a friend. Maybe while you're sharing a beer with a friend, share Beer Thursday with a friend. That's probably the truest, realest sign of friendship there is. And then together, while you're enjoying that beer, sharing this podcast, you can both subscribe. And perhaps Thursday morning, you'll wake up together to enjoy that next exciting round of Beer Thursday.